Hello everyone, welcome to my home office. My name is Natasha Lazareski. I'm trained as a doctor and specialized in occupational health, more specifically psychosocial and behavioral aspects of occupational health and well-being. Big thanks to the Central Safety Group for inviting me to speak today about pandemic resilient workplaces. When COVID-19 emerged as a significant threat in early March, workplaces around the world rushed to assess the health and safety risk and establish proper remedies. However, understanding biological hazard and preventative measures isn't the only issue we're facing. There is also our internal world, our mind and bodies that respond to any crisis. This deadly virus narrative evokes our basic safety instinct, our fight, flight, and freeze response. You see, our brain has its own risk assessment center, a complex mechanism that looks at our previous experience, messages we receive from our immediate environment, TV, and multiple experts, and it predicts future. It sends response to our control center, that is the part of our brain that mobilizes our body into action. So some of our minds have assessed that the threat was not immediate and that we can calmly proceed with our everyday activities, while some of our brains activated an alarm and sent fight-or-flight response to the control center. Subsequently, behaviors we observe vary from dismissing the need for social distancing and hand sanitizing to obsessive cleaning. In crisis, human mind goes into reactive mode. We tend to think dualistically, which means automatically labeling people to good and bad, to the ones that unnecessarily worry versus the ones that are stupidly reckless. Understanding human mind is a huge aspect of occupational health and safety. I'm sure we can all remember about the accident or about the instance when there were really clear occupational health and safety procedure in place, but in an individual or a group just didn't follow or forgot to use it, and it resulted in a big disaster. We can have the best possible occupational health and safety procedure, but if people are not following it, if people are not committed to it, then things are going to go wrong. So now when we are slowly returning to workplaces, with COVID-19 still in place and possibly staying for a long period of time, we need to ensure not only that we have procedures in place to ensure health and safety of our staff, but also that staff are committed to implementing and following these procedures. We've all, as we heard before, we've all seen instances where people just neglected to maintain a distance or to sanitize the hands or to do what was prescribed to do, stay at homes when necessary. So how are we, as occupational health and safety experts, going to actually, control all of these and ensure that people are doing what they are supposed to be doing? Someone may say occupational health and safety role is now expanding into behavioral science. Managing risk is not just about the risk. It's about managing human perception about that risk, managing beliefs and managing behavior. To make your job easier, I have come up with 6 easy steps to follow. The first and most important part is communication. So if we want to be successful in changing an environment, culture, or anything, especially rewiring a human brain, we need to have a fantastic communication plan. It needs to be holistic. It needs to be supported by your leadership, but everyone in your organization. And it needs to be constantly repeated. It's not enough to send one communication. It's not enough to just have flyers around your workplace. It needs to also be modeled with your behavior. So the communication that you send out, it's obviously going to have list all your safety requirements. Your flyers are going to talk about safety distancing, but there is another part of the communication you need to talk about, and that is human mind. You need to validate that people are going to think in different ways. As we talked about at the beginning of this video, some of the minds are going to perceive everything you implement as a doing it. They're going to think that the risk is really low. They're going to think that nothing bad is going to happen if I just once or twice do not do what you really want me to do. Okay, so those people are actually approaching this from the sense of compliance. Yes, you want me to do something, and I will do if someone is watching me, but if no one is actually around, I may actually miss it. There are different group of people that are probably very conscious of occupational health and safety. They're conscious about their own health, and they will follow what you're asking them to do. They are going to actually, in some instances, even maybe feel threatened and feel unsafe in the presence of people that are actually not following the procedure. So you can see how this is going to also affect your culture. So, very often in situations like this, as we were talking before, you will actually end up in a situation where you have a tribes. You will have groups that are, for and groups that are against. And it's going to, create a negative culture that you really don't want to see. Therefore, the communication that you put out there will have to really tap into individual values and individual need to understand, why should I do this? So that brings me to the second point. We need to align our organizational health and safety processes to our purpose, to our values. Why is this important for us? If your organization is dealing with our community, it's very good to link to that. Why is this important? How are you going to be able to support the community better if you follow occupational health and safety procedure? If you have values such as respect or caring or understanding or support in your workplace, then it's really easy to link all of this to those values. What kind of person you want to be in this workplace, even though your mind tells you this is like overdoing it, this is not important. You don't really need to follow your mind. What kind of behaviors do you want to see this? Your mind can say, this is not important, but you don't need to behave like that. In this workplace, when we are all here together, we all agree that behaviors are going to be following this procedure. So thank you, mind. Thank you for saying all of this, but I want to be the person who's going to look after my employees' health, or I want to be a person who's going to look after my colleagues. I'm going to be a person who's going to look after my family health and safety, and my own at the end. So yes, my mind is sometimes going to come up with a whole narrative about why I shouldn't, wouldn't, and couldn't do what they're asking me. However, I'm going to still behave in the way that is acceptable for everyone here, and because I want to do that. So obviously, in order for people to be able to understand what they should be doing and how they should behave, you need to clearly outline what are the acceptable behaviors. That includes how we talk to each other. This brings me to the next point, which is, language in which we actually talk to person when we find out that they're actually not following the procedure. So the best practice really requires us to be able, at time when we see that someone is breaking the procedure, someone is actually not following the safety distance procedure, at that moment we actually bring that up with the person. Obviously the language we use should be non-confronting, and which means we're not saying don't do this, you're not doing this right, or we can say, I'm noticing you're too close, can we please step back, and or I just noticed that you didn't sanitize your hands, can I help you with that? Where is the sanitizer? Is it easy for you to reach? And is it that you don't know where it is? So it is important to start those communication and to be able to actually bring them, to have an environment in your workplace where it's okay to say, hey, I think this is not right. Another aspect of what you need to do, and I think this is a point 5, that is that you need to have a clear guidelines of how to escalate the issues that keep appearing or that are actually a major breach. I'm sure you already have the escalation procedure, or you have a near miss recording system. This will be one of them. And the final 6th point is modeling behaviors you want to see. So that means that we, as a health and safety experts, leaders in the community, leaders in your workplace, really need to model what they would like to see. So if you really want to see people maintaining distance, that means that you really need to do that. So if they note once or twice that you haven't done so, the narrative in their mind is going to be, well, he's not doing it or she's not doing it, why should I? It is very important for us to be mindful and be in the present moment, to observe what we're doing with our arms, with our faces, how our facial expression change if something's done, something that we don't agree with, because people are observing that, and what people observe, they're more likely to repeat. So mindfulness, being focused in the present moment, understanding also how we reframe what we're saying is very important skills that you need to have. Now, when we finish with this video, and we are almost at the end, you will have a little infographic that with all of these instructions that I'm going to provide to you, so you can actually use this in your workplace. The infographics is talking about mindfulness, about being in the present moment. It's called Face COVID, and it also has the safety procedures there as well. So thank you so much for listening to me and for being here today. If you have any questions, please email to natasha@sciflex.com.au, or you can go to our website www.sciflex.com.au. Thank you and have a great day.